And we're back again for this is probably the first time in a while since it's just been me and you.
It's been a month.
Yeah, so
since our last more than a month.
the last one, but then before that we had guests on, and so we haven't had a time to really catch up and discuss the current affairs. And that's what we're going to do today. So Ron's been looking into a couple things here, but we've been having some crazy weather here in Phoenix.
Well, today's Saturday, May 11th, 2019.
Yeah, and
I have to say that.
last weekend, it was like 100 degrees. It felt like 110 really, but
it was pretty hot.
And then all of a sudden, I noticed the skies when I was working on last Saturday, and I just saw just checkerboards of chemtrails, and Ron saw them too. He took some pictures. We'll get to that in a second. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we had a pretty big storm, and then it dropped to like 70 degrees, 65 degrees almost. It was pretty cold.
Up where I work, which is a higher elevation than Scottsdale, we had cold rain. And north of us at the other resort that I work at, there was hail.
You had hail over there?
2 o'clock in the afternoon, yes.
Yeah, and it was super weird. And then the next day, it was like on and off, on and off. But here are the pictures here.
So
this is the one Ron took himself.
I took that picture in my driveway as I was leaving to come to work on Cinco de Mayo.
Right. So this was Sunday. The day before.
That's brutal.
I took this picture on Saturday. So, like, you could see it here. That was Saturday, and then Ron saw that one. So these ones right here that you see. They're expanding
from the day before.
Exactly. And towards the end of Sunday, the whole sky was just gray and clouded. And
storms moved in quick, too. And as a matter of fact, there's a storm moving in from the north that I saw just out in Peoria where we were shooting. Mm-hmm. And we saw it come over the mountains, and now it's coming down. So we might see some activity tonight, but it's just very strange that these things called chemtrails don't exist. We want to touch on this when it happens because we did a show on it. And then suddenly the weather changes dramatically. We shouldn't have these temperatures in May, the beginning of May. It doesn't get to freezing temperatures in Scottsdale, so North Scottsdale.
And what these chemtrails do is when there is a storm rolling in, what it does is it sticks the clouds together and makes it stay in like one spot or develop into bigger clouds, stuff like that. All right, so what do you want?
Weird weather news?
Weird weather news. I'm sure there's plenty of weird weather going around the globe, but that's just here in the States. What do you got over there?
So, I wanted to talk about Venezuela. What's going on in Venezuela? If people aren't following this is something that you should follow because this is something that will affect us in the near future, possibly even the military. For those of you that say Donald Trump is sexist and he's racist and he's homophobic and he's Islamophobic and he's a bigot, and that's a distraction.
Well, hold on, pull back.
Look at Venezuela.
Give me a bigger, more broad.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Go broader and go in, because right now I don't really know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know they are, like revolting.
There's a coup.
I think we mentioned it in one of our screw up testing podcasts, but we never actually got it onto the air here.
So earlier this year, a guy, I'm still researching this, but this is something that needs to be talked about. So I'm giving you the information that I have. This guy, Juan Guaido, showed up on the scene and said, Maduro is not the rightful president. I am the president. And they had a swearing in ceremony, and suddenly the U.S. backed this guy, Juan Guaido, and then the UN backed him. That's alarming. Nicolas Maduro took over the presidency from Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez died of cancer, 2012, I believe, 2014. And Nicolas Maduro took over. Now, Venezuela was the richest the richest Latin American country. They have huge oil reserves. They were very high in their oil production all the way through the Chavez administration. But the mistake that Chavez did was making most, by far, of their exports oil, 95%, and imported everything else. Toothpaste, toilet paper, shampoo, cleaning supplies, food, a lot of the food. And they were relying on oil being, when Chavez came into power in 1998, oil was $10 a barrel on the world market. By 2012, it was, stand by. By 2012, oil was 95%, as I said before, of their exports, and it was $100 a barrel. So they were relying on that $100 a barrel for the money coming in to, they nationalized the oil. So citizens got a cut of that money. Okay, and that's how Chavez was funding these socialist programs. He actually adopted most of these social programs from Cuba. He literally went to Cuba and said, "How do you handle your health care? How do you handle feeding the people? So he adopted all of these socialist policies, and all of this was based on the money coming in to the citizens and the country from the oil. When the oil bubble burst, that started to go downhill, okay? And I believe that these things are done on purpose. The powers that be.
Well, I'm still a little confused though. So
okay.
So we pretty much put this guy in power, right? Like we do with every other nation, right?
Who, Guaido or Maduro?
I don't know.
Maduro was elected. I don't know that there was any collusion from the U.S. Via propaganda or whatever there may have been, or even, the global powers, the UN, the International Monetary Fund, stuff like that.
All right, so this guy was elected, and now he's what?
So he further adopted Hugo Chavez's social programs, but the money ran out because
so he's getting rich, and the whole country
bubble burst. Well, yeah, he's the president of the country, so he's going to be taken care of. But
I think I saw on Vice, like he's just killing people for, I'm pretty sure I heard someone's like he mistaken his name for like Hitler or something, but he's just like Hitler.
I haven't heard that. I mean that particular situation, but the basic part of it is that it is a socialist country, mm-hmm. and it was being run from oil revenues.
Okay.
and borrowing from world banks and importing everything instead of creating your own. The only thing they basically created was oil.
Right.
So internally, they could create maybe some food, stuff like that, but there was no manufacturing. It was all oil. Okay.
So this guy wants to go just continue straight into just oil, and the country wants to prosper around everything else.
That's what I understand. But
Okay.
the world market said, we're not paying that much for oil anymore.
Right.
That caused them to lower production because they didn't have the money to do it, and nobody would lend them any more money.
Now they're screwed.
Now they're screwed.
Oil prices dropped, and that's 90, like I said, 95% of their
Right. And
revenue.
they are starving, and the hospitals they have rolling blackouts, so the hospitals lose electricity and people die, and it's a domino effect. I am sure that this is a plan. This is a plan that somebody started decades ago, and they go, Venezuela won't let us get that oil. So what do? We encourage them to be a socialist country and to produce oil and give the revenues for social programs. And the people go, hey, that's great. That sounds great. Let's do that. And then when the country is completely dependent on these social programs, the powers that be drop the ass end out of the oil market and starve these motherfuckers to death. And then they blame the current president, which I would blame him too, and the past president. And then when all these people are fighting in the street and starving, we back our dictator. And we put Juan Guaido in there. And the U.S. backs him. And the UN backs him. And then they're talking about military intervention. So any of you listening to us right now that have kids, or if you're a young man or a young woman and you're in the military, there's a very grave danger of you going to Venezuela and turning it into another Vietnam or another Iraq or another Afghanistan or another what have you. Take your pick. But they do this, the global powers, they do this to get that oil at the price that they want to get it. And it doesn't matter if they have to kill a bunch of civilians or a bunch of United States Marines or whatever. And they're already talking about now, there's Russian and Iranian advisors on the ground in Venezuela right now. Now, what does that... If anybody has studied what's going on in the last 40 years with all these proxy wars where Russia goes to Afghanistan, we go to Afghanistan. The Chinese back, the communist Chinese back Vietnam, we go to Vietnam. Just study that and follow the money, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is something that... Hey, Daisy. That's my point with this. I'm not mad at the Venezuelan people. I'm not mad at our military. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And another thing that's going to happen, we have all these refugees at the border from all over the world. It's estimated now that there's 80 countries worth of people at the southern border trying to get in. There's not 80 countries south of Mexico. So people are coming from all over the world and getting in through Central America and coming up. And if we have military intervention in Venezuela, we are obligated to take on those refugees. So this is a multi-layered plan by the UN, I believe, and the oil companies and the banks and what have you, to force us to intervene in this country. And then 10 years from now, it'll be the same thing as Iraq or Afghanistan. We didn't get the we didn't get the oil from Iraq. We didn't get that. The fucking British got it and the Dutch got it.
Right. Here, let's take this. I think this is a little 5-minute.
Go ahead.
Either explanation, even further.
In Venezuela is about as bad as it gets for a country that is not at war. El Nino and climate change have brought severe drought, and years of corrupt and incompetent leadership have ruined the economy. A two-punch combination that has this tropical nation of 30 million people reeling. The drought means water is only arriving in the capital, Caracas, once a week, and when it does come, it's brown and makes people sick. With no rain, the water level is critically low at the Yuri hydroelectric dam that normally provides about 60% of the nation's power demand. But without enough water to run it at full capacity, the government is shutting off electricity for hours every day. This energy crisis is coupled with an economy in shambles. Inflation is about 700%. That's the highest rate in the world.
It's 13,000 now. This is old.
13 grand.
13,000%.
And his successor, Nicolas Maduro. They've been gradually killing business
Inflation.
with a tsunami of regulations, price controls, and government takeovers, which has eliminated the private production of many goods and services. So people have bags full of cash, but nothing to buy.
It's like
Grocery
Germany.
store shelves are bare, and hunger is spreading rapidly. The most tragic part of this story is that Venezuela is sitting on the world's largest reserves of black gold.
Bingo.
So with all that oil, it should be on the opposite end of the spectrum. It should be one of the healthier.
We should go
economies
and
in the
get
world.
that oil.
To understand why it's not, I think 2 points are worth highlighting. 1. Venezuela has a tumultuous modern history, with constant and often violent struggles for power. So Venezuelans have had to put up with a lot of turmoil and don't expect much stability from their government. And 2, the country is still suffering from the aftermath of the rule of Hugo Chavez, a charismatic firebrand who rose through the military and led 2 failed coup attempts before becoming president. After himself surviving an early coup attempt, Chavez ruled Venezuela during the Bush years and constantly portrayed himself as a socialist counterweight to Bush's imperialism.
Yesterday, the devil came here.
He also took advantage of record-high oil prices during the 2000s to spend lavishly on his people while running irresponsibly high budget deficits year after year. But the oil money kept flowing in, so the damage Chavez was doing wasn't obvious until after his death from cancer in 2013, when his hand-picked successor, Nicolas Maduro, took power in a fraudulent election and continued Chavez's policies. In 2014, Venezuela suddenly found itself ranked 5th in Latin America in GDP per capita, falling from first place when Chavez took over in '99. And as oil prices plunged, so did revenues. The government couldn't scale back because its spending on social programs and employment was propping up the entire economy. To put this in contrast, our budget deficit here in the United States reached a high point of 10% during the worst year of the Great Recession, but has been brought down to just 3.3% this year. Fed up, especially over moves like jailing the leader of the opposition, Venezuelans showed their displeasure at the ballot box, and earlier this year, Maduro's United Socialist Party lost control of the legislature in a landslide. But he packed the courts with judges who so far have defeated lawmakers' efforts to remove him from office. Maduro's also following the dictator playbook by declaring a state of emergency and revving up the military that will be his last line of defense if large numbers of Venezuelans take to the streets in revolt. And of course, he's blaming his country's problems on outsiders, specifically a conspiracy of economic warfare at the hands of the American CIA. But now even his former allies in Latin America are starting to abandon him, after he gave a rambling Trump-like speech recently where he urged women to stop using hair dryers to save electricity. The former president of Uruguay called Maduro crazy like a goat. Given Maduro's slumping popularity, there are doubts over whether the army would even obey his orders to use force against protesters.
Right.
There's also the possibility of a military officer taking matters into his own hands and leading the removal of Maduro's regime in yet another coup.
It's a
So what
movie,
happened
movie and a
next
half
is
right there.
Yes, but given Maduro's stubbornness, Venezuela seems headed toward conflict.
All right.
So that was, I believe that video is from 2016. So since then,
Was it? Yeah, it was from 2016.
yeah,
Dang.
since then, this guy Guaido has just showed up on the scene, and he's saying, "I'm the president," and he's got his own military arm, and Maduro has the Venezuelan military, and
Oh my god.
the U.S. Trump. You want to criticize Trump for something? He goes, "Okay, I'll back this guy." Yeah,
Bro,
they were running over
I gotta show
protesters.
This is crazy.
That's not even a good video. They're not going to show you exactly what happened. But go ahead.
It's pretty. Well, you can keep talking, but look at it.
So yeah,
Their answer to that question from 2016: if the government would
this
hurt
happened
protesters.
a week and a half ago, right here.
Yeah.
What we're watching, and these
That's
people.
crazy.
So the people in the armored vehicles are Maduro's people, and these people on the ground
Yeah.
are Guaido's people. And it's a very, I could tell you from history, I'm 45 years old. I've seen this again and again. It's very dangerous when there's a country that has a ruler or a dictator or whatever you want to call it, elected representative, and somebody shows up and says, "No, I'm the one that should rule," and then America backs that person. It always ends very badly for the people in the country. It ends very badly for the U.S. military, and it really ends badly for the American people. But the American people are so pacified now with everything: food, media, video games, sports. I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I have my own pacification. But we are also pacified and used to our own way of living, that you go, "Oh, there's people being run over with armored vehicles in Venezuela? Oh, that's terrible. These are really good mashed potatoes, babe. I gotta tell
You
you.
get mashed potatoes.
That's what happens." So if you're not looking at yourself and the rest of the world, and you're just watching CNN or Fox News, or I'm not biased on either side, with all those news agencies lie. That's one of the only things Trump is right about. They're all fucking liars, and they manipulate us. And they manipulate us against each other, and they manipulate us against other people in the world. If you're not going past your choice of mainstream media news and researching the past and stuff like that, you're not getting the whole story, and you can be duped very easily. And that's what's going on right now. And I'm scared to say it, but we may wake up in the next couple of days and they go, "Hey, we have to invade Venezuela. These people are being killed. Somebody from Maduro's military attacked Americans in Venezuela." You know, that's how it works.
Are they under our umbrella of like protection?
Venezuela?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing is here. We're, of course, America wants to try to
But what would
help
that
everybody.
what would that look like? They just come in, same exact situation as Iraq. Oh, we need to
Yeah.
overthrow this dictator, whatever.
Yeah. Only it's connected to
But
our
really, it's
continent,
oil.
so it'll be easier to get there. And as I pointed out before, they have the largest oil reserve, I believe, in the world, if not the continent. And think like Donald Trump. Think like a businessman. Hey,
Right, but wouldn't it be
incredible profit.
Well, they were saying the gas prices are cheap, and that's why they're tanking. Wouldn't it be cheaper just to buy their oil than to do a whole? But then
No,
again,
'cause then
war does.
Because then they'll make another oil
Generate.
bubble. Just the way they did when we invaded Iraq and oil shot up. They'll do it again. And instead of... So now, before Iraq, I don't know if you're younger than me. No offense. But I remember before Iraq, gas was $1.
Yeah, I remember when I first started driving.
89 cents.
$1.09. When
Something
I
like
first started
that.
driving, yeah.
After Iraq, it went up to $4 or $5 a gallon, and then it went back down. And they always do this. They go up sharply, and then they go back down for the illusion of them going back down. So now what we're paying like $2.89,
It's
$3.10,
like $3.40 right now.
something like that. We invade Venezuela, it'll go up to $5 or $6, and then it'll go back down to $4 once we've occupied it, and then everybody will go, oh, it's $4 a gallon. That's normal. It's better than $5 or $6.
Where's your expect oil prices to ultimately keep going up as we keep consuming it, unless you believe in the fake oil crisis.
It's
which
totally
I've heard is
OPEC. OPEC. So
could be a huge possibility that they just kind of like diamonds. They just hoard it into a vault and slowly release it just
or
to
in the
keep
ground.
the profit margin there.
So what a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people think, we drill for oil here and we refine it here and it goes into a tank in the ground and we pump it into our fucking car. That's not what happens. We pump oil out of our ground and it goes on the world market and we have to bid to get it back and refine it. So we have to share all of the world's oil, which I guess that's
free,
good. But OPEC, which,
Go ahead. Sorry.
OPEC, which controls all of this, they set the prices so they can create bubbles. They can go, oh man, we have a fucking shortage. So oil's going to be $150 a barrel in July. And then that's what people have to pay to get it. Countries have to pay to get it. And they can inflate that and create a Venezuela situation where you have Venezuela going, fucking hey man, from $10 to $100 a barrel, this is great. Let's create social programs and feed the hungry.
They overreached on their profits. That's pretty much.
And then OPEC pulls $100 a barrel. It goes down dramatically, and then after you've borrowed all this money, now you owe it. So this entity, this global entity, can come into your country and take your shit and install a president. And this has been done so many times before. I often say Vietnam, they told us Vietnam was about not spreading communism to South Vietnam. And back in the day, nobody looked at maps and shit. They went, oh, we're going to Vietnam? Fuck, where's that? I don't even know. The average person. If you look at a map of Vietnam today, and you think about the past, and you know the history, everything north of South Vietnam was communist for fucking 10,000 miles. So you're trying to stop this much of a fucking continent that's communist from becoming communist. That's why we went there. And they go, yeah. And if you research it, it was Michelin had rubber plantations there. Follow the money. That's it. We didn't go there to fucking save those people. We went there to make sure that Michelin's rubber plantation didn't fall to the communists.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that. I'm trying to give examples that people can look up and go, oh, this is just like Venezuela, or this is just like, you know.
Yeah. Did you have anything else on? Did you want to touch?
I mean, I would just say that, you know, most of the people in Venezuela obviously aren't bad people. They are just doing what they have known to do for decades, and this is a multi-faceted thing. You can't just look at it from one direction and go, here's the answer. The powers that be, the global powers that create these situations, make it to where it doesn't matter what direction you come to try to address the situation. It's never going to be 100%. So my message is watch Venezuela, especially if you're in the military. The military guys know what's going on. They go, oh yeah, what the fuck, you know. They see the lies that CNN says, and they see the lies that Fox News tells, and the half-truths that each of them tell, and then they go, oh, my intelligence guy over here is saying we're going to do this, so they know. But anybody else, like, seriously, watch what happens within the next couple of months or years with Venezuela. Because from all of my analysis, that's the next Iraq. That's where we're going next. And we'll go there, we'll take it over, we'll install a guy, and 10 years down the road, nobody will know the difference. Nobody will even think about it. Just like they don't think about Iraq or Afghanistan or... You know?
I could see that happening, yeah. It seems like the people are uprising and trying to get something done.
And the people that are uprising, they have a legitimate beef. They're like, fuck this guy Maduro. He ruined the country, which...
How do you fix a country, though?
He didn't only ruin it. You know, OPEC and the banks and everything has led to this. So they go, fuck this guy. We don't want this guy. We want this guy. He's Juan Guaido. He's a young guy. He's good looking. And we want him to lead us. And then if Maduro like gives up and just gives it over to him, the U.S. gets what they want. If Maduro doesn't give up and let this guy have it, we invade. And the U.S. gets what they want, and OPEC and the UN, and it's very simple. To follow the money. I gotta take a piss. Piss break? Do you have a piss break slide or anything?
You could go. I'm gonna play this video as an intro to your next category.
I'm sorry. I've been out shooting today, and we ended up drinking beers afterwards, and I got a full bladder.
All right, let's watch this for our next subject.
A flaw with the 737 MAX plane and did nothing about it. Boeing admitting that a full year before the first fatal crash, it was aware a safety alert system was not working on all of its MAX planes. But Boeing did not disclose this until the first of two fatal crashes. Drew Griffin is out front.
A year before the doomed Lion Air flight crashed, Boeing engineers discovered they had a problem with their new 737 MAX airplane. An alert system that was supposed to be standard on all the 737 MAXs was mistakenly made optional, part of an upgraded safety package that cost airlines extra. The disagree alert system tells pilots whether one of the two AOA sensors on the side of the plane is malfunctioning, sending incorrect data about the airplane's angle in flight. In both 737 MAX crashes, a single malfunctioning AOA sensor triggered a powerful anti-stall system called MCAS, which forced the nose of the plane down as the pilots struggled for control. Boeing engineers decided the missing alert was not a safety issue, didn't have to be fixed immediately, and didn't tell anyone until after the Lion Air crash. The reason? AOA sensors and alert system have never been considered safety features on commercial jet transport airplanes. But Boeing's 737 MAX is different from other planes. Its powerful MCAS software can take over the plane's controls in flight, and that system is triggered by a single AOA sensor, a sensor that's known to fail.
You can fly an aircraft without an AOA sensor, you certainly can. But can you do it when it's pushing the nose of the aircraft down erroneously? No, you can't. You have no hope. It has to go down.
Former FAA safety official David Susi says the accidents have proven Boeing's reliance on past procedures is flawed. And today, the chairman of Ethiopian Airlines says Boeing needs to go back to square one with its 737 MAX.
The entire flight control system design needs to be reviewed.
All right, I kind of got a little caught up there with it. So
That's all right.
this is one thing
I heard about half of that.
This is one thing I don't get. You know, they come out with all these new features for like cars for safety and stuff, but it costs, you know, an arm and a leg to have it. Why can't they, if it's for the safety of everybody, why can't they just make that the standard?
Okay, I could tell you what I know. So the reason why this happened, I don't know if they brought this up in CNN. If I know, because I was taking a piss, I didn't hear the beginning of it. If I know CNN, they won't tell you this because they don't want to muddy the waters, so to speak. Okay, because despite what CNN will tell you of their dream of socialism and everybody being equal, they're very much at the mercy of corporations because that's who pays them. See, you ever be watching CNN and you see a advertisement for an oil rig? Why would they do that? Are you gonna buy a fucking oil rig or are you gonna buy a pizza from Pizza Hut? See, who pays more? Anyway, so this happened because Boeing was in competition with Airbus, and Airbus made a revamped their Airbus. I think I don't want to say which one because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. You can look this up. Airbus had a plane that they beefed up, okay, for long transatlantic flights, bigger engines. They call it re-engining, okay? And American Airlines ordered 200 of them from Airbus. And Boeing freaked out. And they said, what the fuck are we going to do? They didn't want to redesign the 737 or redesign an entirely new plane because the 737 is very popular, okay? So what they did was they took the 737 and they put larger engines in it, re-engined it, as I said before. But the engines were too close to the ground. They hung very low under the wings, dangerously. If you come in for a little rough landing, you might lose a wing. What they did was they took these larger engines and they pushed them forward on the wing and brought them up. Okay? So basically just redesigning the engine configuration on the wings of a 737. Did I say 737 or 747? It's a 737.
737.
If I said 747,
Oh my God, Rod.
that's to blame. Okay. They took these engines, these huge engines, and they pushed them forward on the wing and raised them up. And what they did was that caused drag on the wings, and it would make the nose come up, and which is especially dangerous in a takeoff situation, because if you get a certain amount up in the air, altitude, and the nose is too high, you're going to stall. And if you stall, you're fucked on a takeoff, especially with a jumbo jet. You're fucking dead, okay?
God, can you imagine being in that plane if it did that stall, like straight up and,
Well,
and coming, like...
I'm gonna tell you. This is even scarier. I'm gonna tell you what happened. So what they did to correct this is they installed I don't think it was an AI program. You know how
No, they installed
down on
this.
AI.
They said you can purchase this extra little safety knob thing here at the plane, of the very front of the jet that will correct it.
Well, okay, hold on. They installed a sensor, and they installed a computer program called MCAS. MCAS stands for Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. And what this does is it regulates the nose of the plane. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if the MCAS system decides that the nose is too high, it points it down. But they didn't tell American Airlines that this system was in there, and they didn't tell the pilots of American Airlines that this system was there. And all they did was give them a 1-hour tutorial that you could watch on an iPad, like an iLearn.
So they didn't know these sensors were
They
attached
had
to the plane.
one sensor. It wasn't these. One for each plane. The pilots had no idea. American Airlines had no idea. The people riding the fucking plane had no idea. And this is why I don't like flying. So in October of, I wrote 2018, but I think it's 2017. We'll have to look that up. I think it was the Indonesian crash happened October 29th, 2017. Because there wasn't a plane crash in April in Indonesia of this year. So I think it's 2017. And they blame the pilots. And this goes along with my Americans disconnect from the rest of the world. You go, oh, a jumbo jet crashed in Indonesia? It's the pilot's fault, obviously. And then another one happened in Ethiopia the following April. And Boeing went, Ethiopia, it's the pilot's fault.
Hold on, let me show
And
you.
they blamed the pilots.
As a side note, see this crash?
That motherfucker dove into the ground.
Yeah, but remember the crash site at the Pentagon?
Oh, yeah.
Look how much debris is
Look how much debris is there.
Everywhere.
Tires, emergency exit signs.
Everywhere. You need to see
That's a
any of
good
that
point.
at Pentagon. Anyways, sorry.
So, they finally disclosed that this program was in these 737 MAX, which is, as I said before, the intercontinental planes. You don't usually fly on a 737 MAX if you're flying like from Phoenix to Milwaukee or something like that. Okay.
Yes.
It was revealed later that the MCAS system, when it detected its one sensor detected this problem, it would take over for 10 seconds. And then it would give the pilot 5 seconds back. And then it would take over for 10 seconds. So 10 seconds on, 5 seconds off. 10 seconds on, 5 seconds off. And what that did was that drove these planes down out of the sky for 10 seconds. And then it would shut off. And the pilot would bring it back. But now, you're 4,000 feet lower than you were. And then it would take over again. And it would dive.
Yeah, and
for 10 seconds.
They can't adjust it when it's diving.
When the MCAS system has taken over, they can't do anything about it. You can jerk on those controls all you want. It's not going to... So literally, this one sensor that malfunctioned, I had a sensor malfunction in my car and it wouldn't start after I parked it. and I had to pay a tow truck and $350 right before Christmas. That's a car. A sensor in an airplane, in a jetliner that, you know, transports thousands of people a day, potentially, it shouldn't rely on one sensor, and that's what it was. So these planes were continuously sent into a 10-second dive over and over again until they got to the ground or the water. The one in Indonesia crashed into the ocean. So first of all, imagine the pilot, them trying to figure out what's going on. They're looking at manuals. They're fucking going, hey, the plane dove for 10 seconds. Now I have control of it again for 5 seconds. And then all of a sudden it happens again. Imagine their horror, their fucking terror of trying to figure out what's going on. Then imagine the people in the plane. That would be me and you. What would you think? What would you think if every 5 seconds the plane was diving?
Felt like a roller coaster or something.
It feels like a fucking terror attack. Like there's a terrorist in the cockpit. That's what those people died believing, probably, is that we're being killed.
I'm sure it'll
on
surface.
purpose.
When did this happen? Two months ago?
I'm confused now because I wrote down 2018 for the Indonesian crash. Look up Indonesian 737 MAX crash.
It says 2 months ago. Ethiopian crash.
So it was.
The scary
okay.
part is this says this is the Boeing's fastest selling plane.
Yeah.
So these are
well,
now.
they're all grounded now.
Yeah.
They grounded all of them, and they're gonna. Guess what?
But they knew about it a year ahead of time and still rolled it out.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're gonna fix the problem.
Yeah, I think
you're gonna get on one of those planes. Good luck.
Like, we provided extra seatbelts.
Yeah, for the water that you're gonna fucking crash into. But this is my thing. I'm all for capitalism and whatnot. But when it comes to this, they panicked. Boeing did, because Airbus had beat them out of a contract. If you cut corners to beat out another capitalist company, to beat them out of a contract, and you kill somebody, you should have every motherfucking thing taken away from you. Like,
kind of happened. Remember?
Are you fucking kidding?
The Volkswagen thing.
What do you mean?
Volkswagen faked all their tests about being the most economic friendly, or not economic, environmental friendly car out there, and everyone bought into it. And then it turns out you talking about the new ones or the old ones? No, this is early 2000s.
Yeah,
I just
the newer
watched a
ones.
documentary about it, but yeah, they installed governors that would lie to the computer about its test results and stuff. Kind of, you see like a pattern here.
But that doesn't kill people. But I understand what you're saying.
Well, I mean, it kills. It could, it was pumping like 9 times more fumes into the atmosphere than any other car. So ultimately, yeah, it does. It could,
pollution.
But it's just another example of companies trying to just keep pushing, even if something's not ready or up to standard, that they'll, throw caution to the wayside, and as long as there is a profit at the end of it, they're willing to kill anyone.
Yeah,
and it's scary as fuck, it being an airplane.
That's what the government should be protecting us from. Not how much does your toilet water flush. Not, shit like that. Well, you know how, like, in California, you can't buy certain toilets because the flush is too big or something.
Well, that's a state thing, though, right?
But yeah, I understand.
I thought you were going to go with the government shouldn't worry about the crisis over in Iraq or Valenzuela or whatever.
Yeah. But the government should be, if you're going to regulate somebody, regulate that. They're going to make them pay a fine, and all those people died. And almost none of them were Americans, so nobody cares. Nobody. If two fucking 737s crashed in America on American soil because of this fucking computer system, you better believe people will
it'd be crazy.
But because it's in Indonesia and Ethiopia, everybody goes, "Oh, Groupon, let's have macaroni and cheese tonight." No. Everybody should pay attention to this shit because you're going to be affected by it too. That plane's going to crash on your house.
Oh, I'm so scared of that.
I live near an airport, man.
I'm in the fly zone of it.
I'm in the fucking flight.
I always think I'm just going to hear it really loud. Like, I wonder what it would sound like if a plane were to... yeah, but like a plane... How loud would you hear it if a plane was like coming towards your house to crash?
I don't know. I think if a plane was actually diving into your house, you might not be able to hear it as well.
You wouldn't hear it because the sound is...
Yeah. And I have all those planes from the Scottsdale airport take off, and they bank right over my house and turn. And they could just go, oh, shit.
I have a landing one. It's over there. I think I'm okay, but yeah. I'm just always like, if I'm taking a shit and I just hear it and then it's fucking boom.
At least you're relieving yourself. Like.
She's like, oh, I'm already shitting myself, so.
Yeah.
We're good.
Let's continue.
All right. Well,
what's up, Daisy?
What else happened since we last
did one of these? A lot of stuff. We got to have Chris back on. Chris has additional information. Chris Johnson that came on and described the electric universe, and we just let him fly. We didn't ask him any questions. So when he gets back in here, we're gonna have questions for him so that you guys can understand better. And he has some revelations, some things that have come up since then that proves his point. So that'll be coming up next pretty soon. I don't know. Maybe we can get him in.
I think it'll be easier. We have summer coming up, so
yeah,
slows down at our jobs. So
tomorrow's
a little more time.
Mother's Day, so
yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day,
everybody.
Oh,
so real quick, I've said this before, but never on this program. Mother's Day was a war protest. That was the original purpose for Mother's Day. All women and sisters and daughters of soldiers after the Civil War would go out and they'd write letters to their congresspeople and they would protest in the street. That was Mother's Day, literally. And then right before World War I, Congress moved Mother's Day to second Sunday in May? Is that right?
I guess.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Tomorrow.
I just look at my calendar.
Tomorrow. And then the companies capitalized on that. Hey, take your mom out for dinner. Buy your mom flowers. Your mom deserves it.
The Don Drapers of the world. Did you ever watch Mad Men?
No.
You should watch it. I think you'd really like it. It's like really how marketing, the power of marketing, and
My point is, now that I gave you that knowledge, go ahead tomorrow and try to talk your wife into protesting for war instead of going out for dinner and see how fucking far that gets you. Like, come home with no flowers and no present and go, Mother's Day was a war protest. You should be out protesting.
Protesting what?
See how far that gets you.
Is that it?
I went out shooting today. It was great.
What did you shoot?
One guy had something I never knew existed before, but a pistol that shoots 7.62, not by 39. That would be an AK round, but a shorter round, but out of a pistol. So it's an AK round that's cut off, and they cut off the cartridge and put less powder in it, and it's in a pistol. It's great.
Thomas was showing me this gun. Check this out. Let me get it up on here.
Is it the one I sent him the other day?
Was
The
it
silencer?
The super silencer?
That's-
Is that the one you sent him?
I want it. I'm sorry. I just do.
Here,
That's
let me
great.
pull
Yeah,
it up.
pull it up. Pull it up.
Yeah, for the people here. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the very video.
To talk about a weapon that you might have heard of, but you've
You
probably
need it.
never seen, and that is the B&T VP9, or veterinarian pistol. The official idea behind this design was to provide veterinarians a pistol that they could euthanize animals that could not normally be saved. And what you're looking at here is a 9mm.
Got to get a tax stamp for this. Be registered with the government.
Anyways, check it out here.
You'll know it's locked because there's 2 red witness marks. One on the bolt and up. Holding it, it's ready to fire. Very, very quiet.
It's a 9mm.
I can leave the gun as is, or if I want to reload it.
Right, and then watch. He puts this other attachment on it. Listen to this.
That's real shit.
Like, that sounds just like, I don't know. I don't like how he did it in a drive-by to give people ideas. Like,
Well,
like no one's ever going to catch you with this thing.
It's illegal to shoot
Is that thing illegal?
somebody in the face.
Well, yeah,
out of a
but
car window.
You would never be able to tell where the shots were coming from, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you had to assassinate somebody. He actually said that became the assassins for the government, their weapon of choice.
I would choose that one, too.
Yeah.
John Wick needs that thing.
Yeah. It's the second silencer he put on it. It has more baffles. You can actually undo the silencer and put, baffles are like almost like washers and foam rubber that stack up, and that's what.
Right.
But he said the second one from the car was movie quiet, where they go, in the movies. It was even quieter than that.
If you'd kill someone, that'd be a good thing. Not a good thing, but a good story. Like someone's got into acting in a part where someone they wanted to kill, and there was a scene, and he actually died.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know. That's just a couple things I wanted to talk about, and I don't even know if we're.
Yeah, we're at an hour.
About an hour.
Yep.
All right. Beyond that, yeah, everything's been going good. How's everything going with you?
Fine. Like I was just saying, I had to replace my garage door hardware. That was expensive.
Really?
Like it wouldn't go down, and then I tried to get it to go down, and it got all off.
You mean the track and all that shit?
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It got fucked up.
You're a homeowner.
Yep.
Proud homeowner. Was it like thousands of dollars or?
No, it was like 1,200.
1,200. That's not bad.
Which is yeah, but
you got
no one wants to pay that
door.
for a garage door hardware.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the door, It's,
so you just revamped the hardware.
well, me and my wife were sitting in the living room, and we just heard a huge sound come from the garage. So I went out there, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And I think it was the spring that snapped or finally broke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's what assists the garage door opener.
Yeah. Each spring is $250.
Opening.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Give me a thumbnail.
A thumbnail?
Probably shouldn't do that if we're talking about people like miserable and stuff.
Yeah. Venezuela. We're gonna invade Venezuela. So yeah, just to recap.
Hold on.
Watch.
We gotta
wrap. Today's wrap up.
perfect cut. Could have been a beer commercial right there.
Right. overall, watch Venezuela.
Yeah, see what's
There's some shady
unfolding
shit
there.
going on there. Not only with the Venezuelan government, but with our government, with the UN.
Yeah, well, the United States is looking for a new war to start, right?
We've
We've
world
never been out of war.
the world market wants Venezuelan oil. Maduro either won't or can't make it happen because nobody will lend them the money to do it anymore. They don't have any more wealth. Their economy has crashed. Their currency, they have 13,000% inflation, the highest inflation of any economy so far. Okay? Just understand that. They can't produce food. They can't clean their water. So they're going to make a humanitarian crisis there so that either we or the UN or both go in there, and then you'll just see a lot of pictures of happy children with new shoes and eating a cupcake and a stuffed animal.
Well, what they'll give them is, you know what they do? They give whoever like doesn't win the Super Bowl or whatever all those shirts they pre-make for everyone. That's where they don't, which is great. That's where they donate them, but.
Yeah,
you'll see them running around in U.S.
that.
attire or football or whatever
and then,
team,
and then
try to make them love America. And
the people who don't want the U.S. there and the UN will fight back and will be bombing people with drones. And 10 years down the road, nobody will know the difference.
Right.
And then watch out for Boeing. Keep your fucking eye on them. All right.
Yeah, right now, if I had the choice of which plane to take, which you don't really get that choice, depending on time.
Airlines, you have to choose the right airline.
I don't know about Boeing.
But yeah, that's a bad. They might not recover. I have distant family that has stock in Boeing, and they were like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'd be interested to see real quick
what's their stock right now? What it
at
was?
At least see the graph, you know.
There you go.
I mean,
has it gone up?
It went up. Hold on, let me go 6 months here. So I'm guessing this is probably where it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, March,
earlier
2 months
you
ago.
were looking at hours of today.
But they're going up. But they still didn't crash that hard.
That's a big company, and they grounded all the Maxes. They grounded them all until they ascertain what the problem is. But I would much rather trust two human pilots, to a fucking computer system. I would take a gamble on that.
That's not going to be the case soon when all the cars are Waymo cars or Waymo, whatever it is.
Whammo, exactly. Fucking get hit on with a fucking school bus. And that's it. And watch the weather, man. The weather's getting crazy. So you don't care if I plug another YouTuber, right?
No, you're fine.
People, check out Suspicious Observers YouTube channel. Suspicious Observers, and they do a daily report, and they watch the sun, and they
What was it?
Suspicious Observers, and they can predict the weather. They can predict earthquakes, volcanic activity by watching the sun. And Chris Johnson, yeah, that's the one right there. Chris Johnson got me onto these guys, and it's a very short report. It's like 5 minutes a day. But all they do is show you sun activity, and they go, like just the other day, on the 5th, I think it was, he said there was going to be a earthquake in, I think, Indonesia, and a tsunami, and then 2 days later it happened because of him looking at the sun. I think it was Indonesia. I don't want to.
Yeah.
A lot of good information though. So check those guys out because it's real knowledge. And I think that's probably it.
All right. Well, look forward to our next one with Chris. We'll get a lot of our questions answered and probably learn some more new things. I know that's a lot of people's favorite episode so far. So I'm Ravi. This is Ron, and be advised.
Please be advised.